There's a guy named Franklin, 38 years old, considers himself financially aware, tracks his major expenses, knows his rent, his car payment, his grocery average within about $20. 3 weeks ago, Franklin sat down and listed every recurring monthly charge hitting his accounts. Not from memory, from his actual bank and credit card statements, scrolling back 90 days. The number he arrived at was $847 per month in subscription and recurring charges. Franklin had estimated the number before he looked. His estimate was $310. The gap between what Franklin believed he was paying and what Franklin was actually paying was $537 per month. Annualized, that gap is $6,444. Franklin is not unusual. A 2022 study by C+R Research found the average American spends $219 per month on subscriptions, while estimating they spend $86. That underestimation gap alone, the difference between perceived and actual subscription spending, averages $133 per month across the population. Franklin's gap is larger because Franklin, like most people in their late 30s with a household, a streaming rotation, software tools, a gym membership used infrequently, and 4 services acquired during promotional periods and never canceled, has accumulated a subscription stack that no single moment of decision ever produced. Each charge was individually reasonable. The aggregate was never reviewed. Here is what I want to show you. The subscription economy was not designed around your convenience. It was designed around a specific and well-documented psychological phenomenon called the sunk cost fallacy, combined with passive renewal. I am going to show you how that design works, what Franklin's $847 monthly actually costs in retirement wealth, and the single 90-minute audit that recovers more monthly cash flow than almost any other action available to someone who is not changing jobs or moving housing. Start with how the subscription pricing model exploits cognition. In 2000, if you wanted music, you bought a CD for $18. The transaction was visible, deliberate, and complete. You felt the $18 leave. In 2025, you pay until you cancel, which requires an action you must remember to take against the default of perpetual charge. The asymmetry is deliberate. Behavioral economists call it default bias. People systematically stay with whatever option requires no action to maintain, even when switching or canceling would benefit them. Subscription companies build their entire revenue model around this bias. The free trial exists to establish the default. The cancellation flow, the multiple confirmation screens, the pause option, the retention offer, exists to increase the friction of reversing it. Every dollar of monthly recurring revenue depends on the customer not taking an action, and the product is designed to make that inaction as likely as possible. Now run Franklin's number to retirement. Franklin is 38. He retires at 65. 27 years. His $537 monthly gap, the charges he did not know he was paying, invested at 7% annual returns over 27 years, compounds to approximately $497,000. Franklin is not paying $537 a month in forgotten subscriptions. He is trading $497,000 in retirement wealth for streaming services he cycles through, software he stopped using, and a gym he visits twice a month. The individual charges are too small to trigger loss aversion. The aggregate is large enough to reshape a retirement. And the aggregate only becomes visible when you do the one thing the subscription model is specifically designed to prevent. Look at the full stack simultaneously and ask whether the total justifies itself. Here is the historical parallel that makes the design intent clear. In the early 20th century, razor companies discovered something transformative about pricing. Sell the razor cheaply. Sell the blades expensively and repeatedly. The initial transaction establishes the customer relationship. The recurring revenue comes automatically from the consumable that the product requires. Gillette's model was so successful it became a business school framework. Razors and blades, the original subscription economy. The subscription model is the digital evolution of the same logic. Sell access cheaply or free initially. Establish the automatic renewal. Profit from inertia. The difference between Gillette's blades and a forgotten streaming service is that the blades at least required you to notice when you ran out. The subscription renews whether you used it or not, invisibly, indefinitely, until canceled. So what does Franklin actually do? 3 decisions. Decision 1. Run the full subscription audit tonight, from statements rather than memory, and apply a single filter to every line item. The filter is, did I actively use this in the past 30 days, and would I sign up for it today at this price if I did not already have it? The second half of that question is the critical one. The psychological barrier to canceling something you already have is substantially higher than the barrier to not signing up for it initially. Reframing the question, would I choose this today, removes the sunk cost bias from the evaluation. Every service that fails both conditions gets canceled immediately. Every service that passes only the first condition, used but would not repurchase at current price, gets flagged for a negotiation or downgrade conversation. Franklin, running this audit, found 7 services he had not used in 90 days. 3 he was paying for at a tier above what he actually needed, and 2 he had forgotten entirely. Monthly savings identified in 90 minutes, $284. Decision 2. Consolidate the audit into a single, visible, monthly recurring expense line in your budget tracking, reviewed quarterly. The reason subscription costs expand invisibly is that no single statement presents them aggregated. Your bank statement shows individual transactions across multiple dates. Your credit card statement shows them interspersed with groceries and gas. The architecture of the statements prevents the aggregate from being visible in any single moment of financial review. Creating a manual or automated aggregation, a spreadsheet, a budgeting app category, a recurring calendar event that triggers a statement audit, converts the invisible aggregate into a visible line item that competes directly with rent, food, and transportation for your attention and your resistance to overspending. When Franklin sees $847 on a single line, he responds to it the way he would respond to any $847 monthly expense. When he sees 12 separate charges ranging from $799 to $189, he responds to each one individually, and individual responses to small numbers are structurally different from aggregate responses to large ones. Decision 3. Redirect the recovered cash flow immediately and automatically to an investment account before the budget re-expands to fill the space. The behavioral trap that follows any expense reduction is reallocation drift, the tendency for recovered cash flow to be absorbed by other spending rather than saved, because the reduction did not create a visible surplus, just a slightly lower statement total. Franklin's $284 in monthly subscription savings needs to become an automatic investment transfer scheduled for the same date the subscriptions previously charged, before his spending patterns adjust to the availability of those dollars. Set up the transfer before the first canceled renewal date. The money disappears into compounding before it becomes available to spend. At 7% annual returns over Franklin's 27 remaining working years, $284 monthly invested from this point forward compounds to approximately $263,000 in retirement wealth. The 90-minute audit was worth $263,000. No other use of that 90 minutes competes. Here is the number that closes this. The average American household runs this audit once, if ever, at a moment of financial stress, when the credit card bill arrives unexpectedly high, when a job changes, when a budget conversation happens. At that single moment, the subscription stack gets pruned. Then, over the following 18 to 24 months, it re-expands. New trials, new services, new tools acquired during a discount period. The audit needs to be quarterly to be effective, not annual. Quarterly review of a stable category that grows by default is the minimum frequency required to keep the aggregate controlled. The companies billing you review their retention metrics monthly. Reviewing your subscription stack quarterly is simply matching their cadence with your own financial interest. Franklin's $497,000 retirement gap was built one reasonable monthly charge at a time. It was recovered in 90 minutes with a bank statement and a cancellation button. The math was always there. He just needed to look at the whole stack at once. Subscribe if this made you want to open your statements tonight. Drop a comment with the number you find when you add up every recurring charge, not your estimate, the actual total. The gap between those two numbers, invested monthly from today to retirement, is what the audit is worth. Most people have never written it down. Now you have a reason to.